0161 228 2255.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Good morning. Here's the question for you this morning. Should you be able to say whatever you want? Why shouldn't we be able to say whatever we want, when we want? Just yesterday, a Facebook page that supported murder suspect Dale Cregan was deemed so offensive that a 22-year-old man from Merseyside was arrested. On the same day, a Welsh Premier League footballer was let off the hook, despite posting a homophobic message about Olympic diver Tom Daley on Twitter. Well, there's no doubt what's said on social networking sites can cause real harm and upset. Have a listen to Nicola Brooks, who has been the victim of Twitter abuse.
They targeted me. The type of things they were saying to me, you cannot just ignore. It wasn't just funny banter, random comments. It was depraved, sexual, graphic, personal details, which were completely untrue.
So, should we be clamping down on people who offend, or should we be protecting our freedom of speech above all else? And Teresa in Stockport said, when these chants start on the terraces, they should abandon the match. That would stop it. Well, trolling is a phenomenon that has swept across websites in recent years. Online forums, Facebook pages, newspaper comment forums are bombarded, sometimes with insults and threats. Supporters argue it's about humour, mischief, and the freedom of speech, but others are deeply offended or disgusted by it. Well, public figures, including Stephen Fry and Miranda Hart, have been victims of trolling. So what is it and why do people do it? Well, Jonathan Bishop is with you now. He runs the Trolling Academy at Swansea University. Jonathan, good morning.
Hi there, Heather.
So explain trolling to me.
Well, the simplest definition is any message posted online which is either provocative or offensive.
And tell me what the Trolling Academy does.
Well, we provide a website which has helpful information for people dealing with trolling, and we run a course to actually help people do trolling without offending people.
Right, okay. So it's about having your say but not causing offence, and also about helping people deal with it when they're on the receiving end of offensive messages.
Yes, there's this article on there on Twitter which shows people how to block those who offend them, and it's got advice for celebrities to see Twitter as an extension of their public relations and not their personal life. Right,
okay. So for some of this then, when people post offensive messages, do you think some celebrities perhaps are guilty of sharing too much with the public and inviting, albeit not explicitly, but inviting this kind of interaction?
Yes, you're absolutely right, because you see on Twitter, if someone sends you a message, not everyone can see it, but what these celebrities are doing, they're retweeting it, and we call that a chew toy. So they then invite their users to flame, to offend the people who offended them, so they stir it up in that way.
Right, okay. So is there any way then of stopping people trolling, whatever you like to call it? Is there any way of stopping people doing it, or is it all about your response to it?
Well, it's human nature, because today in The Sun, it was reported that the government's chief whip, Andrew Mitchell, had to apologise for a remark against the police. Mm-hmm. And he allegedly called the police plebs, and I would say that's a lot worse than what Rhys Messer said to Tom Daley, and he got a harassment warning.
So it just depends on your point of view then?
Well, yeah, because the case you were talking about earlier about the Doncaster airport, that case has pretty much brought trolling in line with broadcasting, because you don't see comedians being prosecuted for some of the offensive things they say, because they were meant to be funny. So hopefully things will eventually calm down and there'll be an understanding of what's grossly offensive and what's not.
Is the best way to deal then with people who write offensive things on social media sites just to ignore it?
I would say no, because that could actually, ignoring them could make them even worse. The best thing to do is actually learn how to be a better troll, so then you can give quips back, which will like make your followers laugh and put them down. So you've heard the saying, the worst thing you can do is argue with idiots because they'll bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. Well, if you learn all the different logical fallacies that these so-called idiots know, you can actually get the upper hand on them. So it's about playing the game, not getting offended.
Well, some games just aren't playable and people don't want to join in, Jonathan. I'm thinking about the tragic death of the 2 police officers in Mottram on Tuesday. People have left offensive messages on social networking sites. You can't deflect that with humour.
Well, if you look at the economic situation we're in with like the austerity measures, it's the police and authority figures that are going to be the victims. And in the South Wales valleys where I'm from, even after 100 years, people still haven't forgiven the police for the Tonopandi riots. So you're going to have to expect that abuse, however wrong it is, people are going to look for a way out, and it's the authority figures they'll be taking it out on.
Do you think we're too thin-skinned then, Jonathan? Do you think we should just thicken up our skin and just think, look, whatever you do, if you stick your head above the parapet in any way, you are going to get a serve off somebody?
Well, I'd say most people are not used to being abused to the extent that these celebrities are. But if you, as you know, being in public life, you're gonna be at the thin end of the wedge, because you do get abused just for having any mild amount of success or status.
Jonathan, do you get offence for running a trolling academy?
Well, I think the Trolling Academy, because it does help people understand, because I've created this thing called a trolling magnitude scale, and like the most severe, number 4, is like what Sean Duffy did, where he made that Tasha the Tank Engine video, which was abusing Natasha McBride, the teenager who fell in front of a train, and he was actually prosecuted. But in Liverpool, a similar one, Georgia Varley.
But do people ever target you, misunderstanding what the Trolling Academy is about?
Well, people tend to target me because I'm very upfront with my views, and I become what a type of troll is called a big man. Like people who are very strong in their opinions, they then become the targets because people like set upon them.
But that doesn't bother you because you caught it deliberately?
Sometimes I do. Right. I do, yeah, because I actually, because I'm so good at trolling, I actually enjoy the trolls and getting one up on them.
Jonathan, thank you so much for talking to us. Jonathan Bishop, who runs the Trolling Academy at Swansea University. So what do you think? 0161 228 2255. It's BBC Radio Manchester. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. 81333. Put Mank in front of your text and you'll be charged at your standard network rate.